Okay, so welcome to the Dark Night of the Soul. This has been a delayed workshop, yet a much necessary workshop. Um, I think we need to preface this workshop with this way of looking at things. You can take terrible situations and accept them in two manners. Why is this happening to me? Or what can I learn from this? And when you're going through it, I am going to tell you in the first 60-day window, you are not going to say, what can I learn from this? Because your head be up your ass, you're grabbing for the wall, grab the wall, shake it like you're going to make your ass fall off. That's kind of how it looks like when you enter in these situations. They hit you hard, they hit you out of nowhere. And most importantly, they hit you for no fucking reason. And I know people don't want to hear that. It goes totally against that belief. If God is real, why do bad things happen to good people? You drop that fucking shit at the door. That's not going to help you here. Okay? Bad things happen to all people. Bad things don't have to have a reason to happen. They happen. Um, I know in the witch world we hear, oh, well, I'm going to put that bitch in a jar and I'm going to do this to her. I am going to tell you, dark nights of the soul are not caused by hexes, curses, or some other person's bullshit. They are actually serious life altering experiences. Now, when you go to a psychologist and you go into therapy, they're going to tell you, well, there's certain things that are going to impact you: deaths, divorces, loss of a business, loss of intense friendships. These are all seem like life ending situations. Those are not dark nights of the soul. Dark nights of the soul are when everything in your existence crumbles. It doesn't just fall apart. It is like Pompeii on a mass fucking scale. And I know people are going to be like, she doesn't know her ass in the whole ground. Well, I actually do know my ass, and I've seen the hole in the ground. I've sat in the fucking hole in the ground, and I've bargained with death, and I've said not today, and death went, fuck you. We're doing what I want to do. Okay. So when you look at a dark night of the soul, there's many different ways to look at this. Yes, you can go through one of these in a divorce. You can go through one of these in a death, but it is a total destruction of everything you hold sacred. Something needs to destroy it all. So when you see these people running around going, burn it to the ground, burn it to the ground, they really do not want to burn it to the ground. They tell you they want to burn it to the ground, and they may be carrying the biggest fucking Molotov cocktail you've ever fucking seen, but they do not want to burn it to the ground. Because when you burn it to the ground, you better be wearing fireproof pants, because you're burning too. A dark night of the soul is exactly that. It is a point in your existence where your soul breaks. You shatter. And it is your responsibility to put yourself back together again. It is the absence of your soul tie. It is when you are laying there, not knowing which way is up, not knowing which way is down, not knowing the answers, seeking answers in everything and everyone you can find them in. You cling to the smallest amounts of hope and you run full speed at those things. If you've ever had a loved one fighting cancer, leukemia, anything like that, you know you would do anything to trade places with them. If your child's in dire condition, your spouse is in dire condition, your parents are in dire condition, you would do anything to trade that with them. But what if it's you? What if it's you losing the battle? And dark nights of the soul can come from people with serious depression and bipolar disorders. And people don't want to hear that either. You can have existential crises within yourself that lead to a dark night of the soul. Addiction often leads to a dark night of the soul. I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it with you because I'm sorry, I'm not. Sometimes the only way, people say rock bottom is here, dark night of the soul is here. It's below it. It's like the bottom fell out. It's like the Tower of Terror at Universal Studios, at Hollywood Studios. You're up here and you're like, boom, no air. It gets sucked out of the room. And you're just sitting there going, what? I heard a song lyric the other day, and I'm not a huge Disturbed fan at all. And this lyric sung by the female in this song said, I can still hear the screams that tore our world apart. Think about that. You can still hear the scream that tore your soul apart. Because if you've had a dark night of the soul, you've had that moment. You've had that scream of utter despair, surrender, release. And I don't think you want to hear this, but that's the turning point. When you're going through it, that's the turning point. You have to make decisions at that point. You have to make choices. You have to decide what you're going to do. This is a great fucking PDF. But do you want to learn what it takes to get through this fucking shit? Or do you want to be book smart about life? I mean, I wrote a book. You can fucking be book smart, right? You can fucking be book smart all you want. But bitch, you better get your big girl panties on if you're going to survive something like this. You better get fucking resourceful. You better get a fucking sense of humor and you better get your shit together. I don't care what people say. I don't care what people say about me. Fuck them. I don't give a fuck. I'm too fucking old to worry about what people fucking think of me. I've seen shit, Alice. It ain't funny and it ain't fucking hilarious. And I'm not the same person from that experience. If you've gone through a dark night of the soul, you're not the same person either. I know you're not. You can't be because that person wasn't prepared for what they saw. That person wasn't prepared for the dose they got of life. Hold on 1 second. I got to pop this door. I'm dying. It's so hot in here. I don't know if that's on purpose or fucking something just jumped in me, but here we fucking go. All right. So let's think about this. Everything is falling apart. You are in the middle of a crisis, right? What's your first response? Your first response is to react, correct? You do the next right thing, okay? Elsa and Anna, okay, Anna, we're going to do the next right thing. Every day, we're just going to do the next right thing. But the next right thing does not add up to a solution, correct? You just keep going and going, and the circle keeps going. Same shit, different day, same mountain, different story, right? What's going to get you out of there? Some of you might be in the middle of this right now, the recovery from this. A dark night of the soul is not limited to a fucking season. You guys are doing the seasonal soul right now. You're not limited to those seasons when everything is falling apart. You are separated, you are moved out, you are into another time shift of yourself. Ooh, look, all those TikTok worlds you're hearing every fucking day. Time shift, reality, blah, blah, blah. Okay, here we fucking go. You can shift yourself out of what everybody else is doing when you're going through this. Nothing this world is doing matters when you are in this space in your life. You can try to be relevant in everyone else's path, but it's just not the same for you. The death is real. The discomfort is real. Your pain supersedes everyone else's pain you run across because you can't get out of it. It's an evil cycle. So I chose these prompts for a reason, and we're going to walk through them. So you will notice on your sheets, there's these really fancy letterings, right? At the bottom of every prompt. Those are fucking feral reactions to the prompt. Do you understand? So this is how we're going to go from now on. And if you read any of the book, you'll notice this symbol is through the book when I give you something to work on. Calm down, Tasha. Yours is in the mail. I promise it's on its way to you with a box. So, when you are moving, you really want to have a physical motion that goes with your journaling. Why? Because you are not only a spiritual person, you are a physical person. And we need to shift you back into that alignment. In the book, there's a section called the golden cord. Okay. I'm going to read you this section. The golden cord can only be unbound and extended throughout your whole self when you are working for your better self. This means actively working to heal yourself and understanding weaknesses that you are compensating for. This fails and falls under the veil of shadow work. Sadly, people misunderstand shadow work. Shadow is taking this side of yourself, and bringing them together. You are a gray individual. You are not black. You are not white. You are made of mistakes and successes. You are a good girl and a bad girl. You are a movement and a stability. In balance is how these things work. And what people fail to release is the expectations of the good in them at all times. You can absolutely have moments where you are lost in the shadow. That is not a loss, that is a moment. And a dark night of the soul is definitely that. Where does the pain reside? So you're in the situation and you have this whole corpse that you carry, right? Your beautifully constructed corpse that eats, breathes, and carries a little more body weight in the lower abdomen and hips than you wanted to. Okay? So you have this beautiful temple. When you have a dark night of the soul, your temple is dim. Your lights are lowered. You're mourning. You are not what you thought you were. You're nothing as you thought it was going to be is coming forward. This happens with death. This happens with loss. This happens with trauma. And people hold on to these concepts that you can be strong and go through this. Sometimes strength is admitting you need help. Sometimes strength is admitting you have been beaten. Maybe not in the war, but that battle has left it all on the field. If you can scrape yourself out, clear up your wounds, and address this pain in yourself, you will live to fight this battle another day. Not everything is Boudica. Sometimes it's the day Boudica's daughters were taken. If you know her story, you know what I'm talking about. You have to assess where you are in this dark night of the soul. Are you listening to the silence? Are you still hearing the screams? Where are you sitting? This is an admirable concept. And you're not going to do this in one day. This experience didn't happen in one day. This is an ongoing quest within yourself to assess why. People always say that it's just that one thing that happened to me and I can't get over. What if getting over it wasn't the point? Making peace with it is the point. We don't have to win everything. Sometimes we can have a gracious surrender to what happened and move forward. It's not a sign of weakness. It's not a sign of defeat. It's a sign that you saw the lesson, you dealt with it the best way you could, armed with the knowledge you had at that moment, and move forward. We play the hindsight game when we have these experiences. Well, I should have done this, and I should have done this, and I shouldn't have done this, and I shouldn't have done this. Guess what? Unless you have a TARDIS and you can turn back time, that is a waste of your resources and your magic. I mean, you got a time turner, Hermione Granger, come see me. I'm all about that shit. But we don't. That's not where we live anymore. And you can't live in the mistake. but you can find the transformational magic that was in that spot. Are you following me? So when we look at these, you're going to see, can you recognize the experience for its purpose? What was this experience to bring you? What lesson did ancestral magic, the universe, give you in this experience? Was this something you wanted? If it's Dark Night of Soul, I'm fucking guessing no. Okay? This is not what you ordered from Santa. This was not the request. This was not what you wanted. This wasn't what you were manifesting. This wasn't what you fucking asked for. So drop all that shit at the door. These people who go, "Oh, she just got her karma." Bullshit. Bullshit. Things that destroy your soul are not fucking karma. They're bad fucking life experiences, and they happen to everyone. You turn on the news and you see them 5 times a day. Random people doing random shit, terrible to people that never deserve it. You see it every day. You have to assess the root trauma in what happened. That is going to be the hard point for you. I know nobody wants to talk about that. And I'm going to be really honest with you. It's not written in here, but one of the most important parts of this whole process is you need to discover what was the cause of the dark night of the soul. What was the cause? And when you're doing that, you need to hold to this concept. And this is going to be very hard. I want you to take yourself back from it, like you're watching it on a video screen. And I want you to watch it as if you're watching yourself go through it. And you need to write it. This is a hard fucking process. So I'm going to tell you something. If you do not have a therapist, you have bad mental health, you are not being medicated, you have not talked to a professional about this, and you are trying to go into this, I suggest you get a therapist before you do this. I'm not going to lie to you. I suggest you get your ass aligned right. You abstain from alcohol and drugs while you're doing this. And yes, marijuana, alcohol, anything along those lines, you want to have a sober fuckingness of yourself when you're doing this. I'm not saying you can't wake and bake and enjoy your day, but when you're doing this kind of work, you got to stay on an even kilter. You've got to be able to look at this. Isn't a time to slip into the liminal. This is very matter of fact journaling. This is probably the one time I'll ever tell you, don't get into the liminal. Like fucking write it real. This is real writing shit. What happened? When did it happen? What was the timeline that you dealt with? Some of you are going to see this wasn't just one day. For some people, a dark night of the soul is one experience that shuttles them there. For others, it's a series of experiences that shuttle them there. You have to be realistic and you have to look at this from a real point of view. Okay? So, henceforth in January when I was going to teach this, I was not ready. My therapist is like, you're not far enough out of this. You are still in the shit right now. You cannot do this. This is not safe. So that's why I'm saying a therapist is very important in this stuff, okay? The next thing I'm going to tell you is find a way to bring yourself out of the sadness. A hobby, a pastime, whether it's music, reading, writing, gardening, you do not sit in this experience of writing for more than a day at a time in this mindset. You cannot do it. You've got to step out of it, come away from it. And the most important thing is when you write it, the therapeutic part will be reading it out loud. Because for some of us, we deny what happened because it's easier. It's okay. Everything's okay. Everything's going to be okay. We're going to get through this. How many times have you told yourself, I'm going to get through this? I got this. I'm going to get through this. I got this. And in the fact, in the end, there should be a t-shirt that says, and in the fact, in the end, she did not have it. She was barely hanging on for dear life because it's the truth. Some of us barely escape this, and some people don't. Some people never step out of this phase of their life. When something happens like this, you hear people say it all the time. She lost this and she was never the same. And she was never the same because she didn't accept the change and the transformation. She just didn't leave the destination. Your choice of stepping out of this kind of experience is just as important as experiencing it. You have to make the decision to step out of it, and that's the hard part. You have to have this acceptance portal of it. So we're coming up on a dark moon. Okay. I know I said this would be over by Sunday. Sorry, I lied. Um, I lied. I lied to you. Will the videos be done being posted till Sunday? Yes. But will you be done with this? No. Because you're gonna have to work this through a moon cycle or two. You're gonna have to go into this dark moon where you recite it. And for some of us, going to the cauldron is a great place to do that. A descent combined with a dark night of the soul is a great way to truly look at it. And I know you're all like, Sissy, you're fucking an asshole. Not only do you want us to do this, but you want us to descend at the same time. Honey, sweetheart, darling, my dear, my deepest love, my witch. You've been in the darkest descent of your life if you've done this. And there was nobody at the bottom of that pit. Perhaps you could call a friend. Might be time to phone in a friend. And whether that is a physical friend that you have here on the plane or a deity that you trust to hold you through this, make a choice. Because you are going to have to heal yourself if you want to transform. This is what I don't want you to misunderstand, though. Transforming means you will look nothing like you did before. And the people who knew you from then will have a hard time understanding why you're different now. Truly, the people who stood beside you while you were going through the shit will see the change. But people who knew you and took a break from you because you was too much. You're just too much. I can't deal with you. I can't do, you're too much. Those people, they're not going to get you on the other side. And I'm going to be real honest with you. There's no need to bother with them. This is a point in your time where you're going to break. Things are going to change, things are going to shift, and you're going to become someone different. It is going to take a lot of apologetic behavior on your point because going through this, face it, we're not always the nicest person. We're not always kind. We're not always, I mean, I've had people crying to me about their shit, and I'm like, shut the fuck up. I don't want to hear it. Like, that's my own close personal family. If you've been through this, you know. My own mother, I would not answer her phone calls for a week at a time. And I was like, fuck off. You don't get what I'm going through, and I don't fucking deal with you. I don't have time for your bullshit right now. When you're struggling to get through and barely holding your sanity, you can't fucking deal with anything else. Some of us have a martyr complex and a fucking retard and tinfoil savior complex, and we're running around trying to save everybody else in the middle of our fucking shit because we think that'll be a great idea, right? It's a fucking terrible idea. I tell you right now, I have the biggest retard and tinfoil savior complex problem ever for the past 3 years. I can fix anything. Bull fucking shit. You cannot fix everything, not even within yourself. There are things that are fallibly infallible and permanently fucked up in you. Accept them, make them better where you can, but it's all a mirror. When you're willing to look at yourself and say, okay, I'm fucked up in this area and I'm never going to be better, you don't put that side of yourself out for other people. You say, yeah, I'm kind of a dick here, and I'm going to say to myself right now, till that side of myself is better. What do you want to get out of these experiences? Is what you have to ask yourself. If you're here tonight to take this class because you just want to see what the class is and you haven't had this experience, you don't belong here. I'm sorry. This is not the place for you. Because if your whole life hasn't fallen apart and you cracked in half, a dark night of the soul doesn't apply to you. Please don't take this class to put it in your grimoire to be like, when happens, this is what I'll do. Because nobody wants that to happen to anybody. Nobody. I do not wish that on my worst enemy. Nobody wants you to go through a dark night of the soul. Do not gather this up for later regards. This is not a PDF to acquire and hoard. This is for someone that has been through this and is still trying to make sense of it for themselves. Some of you are a recovering addict. I'm sure you all know I had a drinking problem for a long time. I mean, I didn't have a drinking problem as long as I could find something to drink, right? That's how that works. But do I occasionally have a drink? Yes. Is that the healthiest manner for me? No. I did, however, know in the dark night of my soul to not start drinking. Because if I started drinking, it would have changed the whole trajectory of what was fucking going on. So don't tell me you don't red flags inside yourself. Because believe me, a couple nights I went to the refrigerator, and if you know my house, there's bottles of wine in there for years. Like they sit in the back of the refrigerator. I never fucking touch them, never go near them. My hand was into the back corner. I'm like, no, no, I can't do that. That was too far for me. I knew that was too far. You know when something is beyond your fucking control and you know to back off of it. Some of us learn, some of us need harder lessons to learn. You know, I have a teenage son. Well, he's not a teenager anymore. He's in his 20s. God, I'm fucking old. Um, God, I'm fucking old. And he always says to me, I'm like, why do you learn this way? Because I like to learn the hard way, Mom. I'm like, wouldn't it just be nice once not to learn the fucking hard way? What if we all just took this viewpoint where we looked at what happened, we worked through what happened, we make peace with what happened, and we don't forget it, but we don't live in it? Isn't that what we do as witches? Isn't that what these moon phases are about? All this work is about is us moving into this place where we can experience it without dwelling in it. That, my friends, is the beauty of a dark night of the soul, understanding and processing it. Yeah, no shit, Leah. Sometimes we want to push the red button to see what happens. Don't push the button. Um, and when you think about this, like, I know all of you have your own dark night of the souls, okay? And when I shut off the camera, we'll have a session to talk that's not being recorded, okay? I don't want that public knowledge for everybody's privacy, but I am going to tell you one thing. I don't care what your experience it is. I don't care if your experience for some people is, oh, this is terrible. Oh, this is terrible. Everybody's experience is important to them. And everyone's experience in a circle is important to a circle. Now, integrity is a huge deal. Sharing is a huge deal. I don't really think you need to share your experiences if you're not fucking comfortable. I don't really think you need to help everyone get through their experience if it's triggering for you. I know people say there's power in sharing your stories. There is. There's power in sharing your stories. I absolutely agree with that. But there's also power in privacy. And you can heal in private just like you can heal in public. So I'm going to say that before we go any further, because I need you to understand that I've been very public about what happened in my life over the year and a half because I didn't know how to do it without being, because of the responsibility I had in this situation. Some people think it has been very boisterous, annoying, and overwhelming. And I get that. And I'm here to say, I'm sorry if that was that to you. But I am going to tell you that not for 1 minute did I give up on my magic in this process. It was pretty dim some days, but it was fucking there. It might have been a battery light in a suitcase going with me to a hospital. But I'm going to tell you something. The minute you give up on your recovery is the minute you will fail. And you're not coming out. You have to keep fighting. Even when there's no air in the fucking room, you got to keep fighting. You need to look at yourself as the hero in every fucking situation that is going to find a way to make it work. My husband gave me a fucking nickname through this. He calls me a MacGyver mom. He says, I will never fucking quit till I find the fucking answer. And there are many people who do not like me in many children's hospitals, and I'm fine with that. But not for 1 minute did I give up on finding a fucking answer. I'm going to tell you, there will be a day you turn around and you hear the song that triggered you for a year and a half. You break down in tears because you realize I'm not so much in the deep end anymore. I can touch the ground. And it doesn't all feel the same with my eyes closed anymore. There is hope on the other side of that rope. So don't fucking quit on yourselves, no matter how hard this work is. There will be a link for you guys to email me. There is a new email to reach me. It will be the Valkyrie and the Vulva. That will be where all the mentoring and services are rendered. They're going to be taken out of the LHC major queue, and the Valkyrie and Vulva will be completely private because some of the girls helped me with the LHC email. I wanted to move all the questions to a private place. So from now on in, when you ask a question, it'll go into there and it'll be private. We need to have a new level of boundary and acceptance in our workings if we're going to go forward being feral women. Okay? So thank you everybody that came tonight. The PDF was available for those that pre-registered. If you didn't pre-register and you're catching this on YouTube or any other reason, I will put just the PDF up in the store and you'll be able to go ahead and grab that. Tomorrow afternoon, there will be an entire course on the page that says Dark Night of the Soul, and everything will go up in there for you guys to watch. Over the next 3 days, you're going to see more and more videos pop up and more things appear for you guys to be able to do to work with this. Don't freak out. They're going to happen in their timing. I just have to have time to sit and record. Things are a little crazy right now. I'm still working through some things to get back in line, and C is recovering. So we have a lot of doctors and OTs and PTs and stuff that I'm working with. So those things will go up. But if you have questions, there will also be a link there that say Ask Sissy. Okay? So you guys will reach out. I am going to say good night to everyone that's here for the recording. And we'll see you soon. Fuckin Feral is available on Amazon. Please use the link on the top of the LHC page to get yours on Amazon. There are a few left signed copies in the LHC store. I will not be providing more signed copies till at least summer solstice. I'm going to take a little break off from signing. The fucking hand hurts so bad. So we're going to take a break from that, but I will see you guys. Remember, you're magic because you fucking say you are. You're feral because you choose to be.